Hey, this is Chandler from the Grappling Conjecture. Today I want to talk about using the Berimbolo to counter leg entanglements. In the last few years we've seen this more and more. I think the people that really kind of kicked this off was the Ruotolos, but they actually weren't the first to do it. So let me show you some examples, and first let me kind of explain why you might want to do this. The Berimbolo is almost like a natural counter to most leg entanglements. By doing this, you can go from a bad position where you're in danger of being leg locked into a position where you can immediately attack the back and submit people. It seems like it would be more difficult, but if you take some precautions before you do it, you can actually get the better of people most times, and people will oftentimes try to continue to hold your leg, and they think like, oh, I can suck it back in and, get the leg lock, but to be honest, lots of times they can't. That actually makes it worse, and they're more likely to get their back taken. So the first time this happened, and it really became kind of noteworthy, was the match between Felipe Pena and Gordon Ryan. So this one was kind of a grudge match, I should say. Started with Gordon Ryan trash talking, and they eventually put this match together. It was supposed to be, I believe, a no time limit match, but it ended up being like time limit, but ridiculously long, maybe like an hour or 2 hours. I don't know what the limit was, but there was actually a time limit. They didn't get to it because Felipe Pena got the finish, as I'm sure many of you know, but let's just take a look at it. He shows how to get out of this many times, Felipe Pena, that is, but let's look at the end and how he actually finishes this and what to do. This is kind of the, prototype of the Bolo to get out of leg entanglement. So let's take a look here. Pena's just moving around looking to pass. Gordon Ryan kind of comes through. This is an interesting detail. This is something Gordon Ryan used to do a lot, but you still see people doing now. It's almost like a grounded Kani Basami. Felipe Pena goes for a knee slice. Watch back here. And as he does, Gordon just puts his top leg in front. See, now he's using it as kind of a knee shield, but he's leaving his back leg out of position. You might think like, don't you want that in front? And usually you do, but what you do is you just kind of frame with your hands, make some space. That top leg suddenly went in between his legs, and his bottom leg came behind. Almost, actually, exactly a Kani Wasani, but on the ground. So he goes into this grounded Kani Basami, which is one of his main entries, at least at that time. He gets it, he locks it up. Now he has the saddle. You can see Felipe's leg is trapped. To be honest, I don't think he's doing that good of a job. He's not pointing his toes. He has his heel completely exposed. He does the running man. This does make it harder to get the break. Building up here also makes it harder. Lots of people, I think, at the time didn't really realize this, but the saddle is not really a good position for this. When they go into the running man, Gordon Ryan isn't really in position. It's hard for him to keep his hip position correct because he wants to really break by bridging through the knee, but it's a little bit difficult here. And he can't break Felipe Pena down because there's nothing that's going to break down the back of Felipe Pena's leg. So he gets kind of stuck here. Many times at this time, and I think even now, the top player will kind of just want to roll and they'll keep rolling, but that's kind of a mistake. Staying here, especially when they don't have your heel, is probably what you want to do. So as he does that, you can see Felipe uses his right hand to push on the lock of Gordon's leg, which weakens it. I think he actually gets, I'm not even sure if that one was in before, or he might have actually pushed that off. So he pushes off the other hook, and he's just trying to get his knee line free. Felipe stays in position. Gordon actually is getting really close to the bite here. So this is why I think he went with this, I can get it, I can get the bite, everything will be good. Because his legs weren't locked, Felipe immediately jumps backwards, which makes his knee line slip out, and he turns his hips the opposite way. Now, if his knee line was still in there, Gordon would have probably fallen into a knee bar and broken Pena's leg. But because Gordon's legs weren't locked when he started doing it, his knee line slips out. Let's watch that one more time quickly here. Jumps away, turns his hips the other way. Now his knee line is completely out and his foot is turned the wrong way. There's no way Gordon can catch his heel now. But Gordon is still holding on to his foot. Pena's legs come in. This is the twister hook. He used his other leg like a wedge, which is like a wedge bolo here, to expose Gordon's back and get Gordon's hips on top of his body. That's what you want to do for all these bolos. You want to make sure their hips are on top of your body. Let me go back just one little bit, and we'll do it in slow motion here, just so you can kind of see what's going on. Half speed. Felipe's pushing that leg down, pushing, jumps away, turns his heel, boom. You see he's trying to use his left leg, Felipe is, to try to scissor down on Gordon's leg, and he wants to bring this knee, which is his right knee, up towards the ceiling, and that's going to pop Gordon's hips up. To be honest, Gordon's hips are already popped up, so he doesn't really need to do it, but in the case you do, if the hips are flat, that's what you want to do. He has it there. He inserts the twister hook. And because Gordon's hips are already on the ground, Gordon tries to kind of like move away by using this arm. But when he does that, look at all this space between Gordon's back and the ground. That is a huge problem. Even though Gordon is trying to like frame against him, he's framing against his arm. Felipe's right arm is completely free and there's a ton of space. Felipe can just move his upper body under it and it'll take Gordon's back. And he does. You see that? He tries to grab. Gordon is trying to like push on his head. Sometimes that can work, but once Felipe gets this grip, it's going to be really hard to dislodge that. He gets it. He gets a seat belt. Gordon couldn't quite keep that grip because Felipe was moving his head around. Felipe has that right side hook in, and he has the underhook on his left side. That's diagonal control. It's going to be really difficult for Gordon to get away here. Gordon tries to come back. He's trying to defend that hook. He's trying to push Felipe's arm down, but it's really not working. Felipe gets that hook in. Gordon's trying to defend that hand. It's not really working. He gets it in again. Felipe moves him down to the other side, so he has him on the underhook side or the weak side, which I think is usually better for choking. Gordon's doing a fairly good job of controlling his hands, but you see Felipe brings both hands out. When he had one, only thing Gordon had to worry about was Felipe's right hand, but now that he has both hands above the arms, he can choke with either hand. So Gordon's kind of defending here. They go palm to palm. Felipe's kind of not paying attention, then he just sneaks it under and chokes him out. And that's all she wrote. Do it. So I think this is one of the first times we saw a bolo, or kind of a proto-bolo, be used to counter a leg entanglement. And from there, people kind of took this and ran with it. Another one I couldn't get footage for is Craig Jones versus Kainan Duarte. So they called this a pretzel bolo, but Craig Jones went to an outside ashi and Kainan Duarte countered it with bolo and took his back and won. They called this a pretzel bolo, and this actually stopped Craig Jones from using outside ashi for quite a while. It kind of made lots of people, not just Craig Jones, but lots of people in the grappling world think that outside ashi was crap because they could counter it off that. So there you go. But unfortunately, I can't find footage of that. But if you want to, if you have Flow Grappling, you can find it. Maybe you can find it someplace else. I'm sure it's on Kasai. It was years and years ago when Craig and Kainan were both very young. The next one we have here is Kade Ruotolo versus Keith Krakorian. I think the Ruotolos do this the best. They've done this more than anybody else I've seen, using the bolo to counter leg entanglements. So let's look to see how Kade does this against Keith. So we have Kade just kind of like running around. He gets a knee slice. It's actually fairly close. He's been moving around Keith's guard a lot, and he's just kind of harassing him, putting lots of weight on him. It's probably annoying. So here he has Keith tries to like move his legs over, and Kade basically just takes them, throws them away to try to get down north-south. Keith is smart, so he brings his left leg down, and instead of putting it across his body where it was before, he's going to take his left leg and put it between Kade's legs, which he thinks like, oh, I'm almost in the saddle. If nothing else, he can probably get into like a bear trap configuration. Seems like a good idea. See what happens? It was not a good idea. Here we go. Kade has his back. He's going there from like a turtle. Keith's doing a good job balling up to stop the hooks from coming in. But as you see, Kade's actually going for a choke there. I'm not sure if you can see that. He's going for that arm in Ezekiel. And he has complete upper body control. He's on his back here. Another thing he's doing is he's trying to get the hooks in. Loosens up. I'm surprised Keith's doing a really good job of keeping those hooks out and defending them, but since he's being controlled in the upper body, it kind of doesn't matter. Kade just keeps attacking him there. Keith goes to turtle. Kade goes into that same wedge again, basically like a bolo, that wedge bolo. And this is to keep Keith's hips up. He's trying to control that, and he's going to try to use that to get the hooks in. He has it there. He's waiting for a while with this. He has the upper body control again. He uses that to get the lower body control. Can't quite get it. Keith's still moving around. Finally gets it in, one hook. Keith does a good job. He's trying to roll over, but here's the problem and why Keith gets stuck here. You look, Kade has his right leg in here, and Kade has his left underhook here. I think he's controlling the hand, but he basically has diagonal control, as I said before. This is hard to get off. What Keith's doing is smart. He's getting there. Like, Kade's not in a good position. He's kind of unaligned. And what Keith's going to do is he's going to try to put his butt up and knock him off the top. You can see Keith's left hand goes to Kade's head, and he's going to try to throw him off. However, since Kade has that left underhook, he's going to keep that. And instead of going around Keith's neck, he's going to take his right arm and just put it on the ground. He can post himself up and get height, and then he just takes his back. So there it is. But let's go back a bit to that bolo again, where it happened. So let's put this in slow motion. So it seems like Keith will have this here, but you see Kade starts turning, and he's going to bring his left leg over and put it in Keith's hip pocket. Once he does that, it's going to be a wrap. That's when you're going to have the bolo. Another thing is, Kade needs to make sure that he gets his legs or his crotch over Keith's knee line. So you see here he has his hands on Keith's leg. Look how he uses his left hand to palm Keith's thigh. This is to make sure that his crotch goes over Keith's knee, and he gets that knee/shin in Keith's hip line. Hip pocket, I should say. Over. Legs in the hip pocket. He's over. And here he's going to try to do a scissor. If you can scissor directly at a perpendicular angle to their leg, you're going to get the most leverage. But even if you don't get it perfect, sometimes from these top positions, when you're doing a dive, you just have so much momentum, you can pop their hips up. Anyways, even if you're not at the perfect angle. So here he goes. Boom. He does that. You see Keith's hips come above Kade. Good position. They're riding right on Kade, just like I showed in the previous video with Felipe Pena. Kade is able to reach behind and catch Keith's shoulder there, and he has him. He has the seatbelt, or almost a seatbelt, pseudo seatbelt. Even though the legs came out, Kade still has him. This is hard to defend from this area, especially against somebody good. You can see Kade tries to go over. He has long legs and just go directly over both his knees. And as you saw before, he eventually gets it. You don't want to be in that position. So although lots of times in demonstrations, they'll show this and like, oh, the bolo works perfectly. They just fall in your lap. Lots of times in practice, that's not going to happen, but you can still keep climbing, still keep working for the back, and you should eventually get it. It happens one more time. Let's look at it around here. I'll do it in real time. Let's speed this back up to normal. Okay. Kade's walking around. He throws Keith's legs up, and Kade wants to dive down into north-south, but Keith just kind of rolls away. Kade gets on top of him, does it again, falls on him, and passes his guard. Keith's framing against him, gets a knee in there, gets his guard back. What Kade does is he tries to jump on a leg lock there. I'll show it here. So Keith brings that knee in, and Kade's trying to jump on like a knee bar, but can't quite get it. Didn't have his legs in the right place, and Keith uses his leg here, his right leg, to kind of jam it in Kade's crotch to stop him from getting the entanglement. What he does get, though, is Keith actually traps Kade's leg. Here he has it, outside Ashi. He moves it over to 50-50. Seems like it's a good idea. What Kade's doing is he's looking, see like, can I catch Keith quickly when he's not paying attention with a heel hook? But Keith's paying attention. Keith is trying to reach over to catch his other leg. If he can catch this and bring it over, he can go for a toe hold and knee bar together, which is a really difficult combination to stop. So Cage trying to keep that foot away, but not doing such a good job. But I think he's going to catch him with something anyways, because Keith may not be paying attention. He might be thinking too much about that toe hold knee bar. And Kade uses his left hand to push Keith's leg out. And you see here, Cade's knee is completely out of the entanglement. So now there's no knee bar. Kade just jumps. He's going to try to get his right knee in Keith's hip pocket here. And then Bolo. He does the scissor or the wedge there. He has Keith's hips completely off the ground and laying on his chest. And that's when he can go for that back again. He's going to try to reach around to Keith's neck. But here he already has his arm. So you could go for a twister actually. But you can kind of say, do a dilemma between the twister and the back. Going here, moving the legs over. Cage just kind of walking his leg over. That was kind of a slick thing to do. So if you find yourself like out of position like Kade was, you see like how his right leg is out of position. He wants to get that in between Keith's leg like a twister hook or the hook for the back. Not there. Watch that right leg. Just kind of snakes over there. Move until he can get it in there. Gets close enough. And you see just kind of like a little inchworm goes over there. That's a small technical detail. I think that Ruotolos don't get enough credit for their technical skills, but he does that and gets it in there. Keith's trying to use his other leg to break this lock so he can get his legs free. While he's doing that, Kade was trying to get more control over there, and once he gets control of the legs, he's going to try to get more control over the upper body. Keith's leaning away so he can't get this, but I don't know how long that's going to last. Especially because Kade has long arms, so it's even easier. It's going to be hard for Keith to stay away from him. And that scissoring motion is kept Keith's body in a bad position. His back is just exposed this whole time. There's nothing he can do. Now you see, same diagonal control. You kind of see Cade's arm here coming under Keith's armpit, and you see he has his right leg in for that twister hook. That's that diagonal control again, which is making it very difficult for Keith to escape. Keith tries to get it out, but he can't. Now he has complete twister control. He could actually try a twister, but I don't know how good Kade actually is at the twister. But goes there, he tries to pull it. Keith's trying to keep his arms in just so he can't go for the twister or for some arm lock, but by doing so, he allows Kade to actually get his back. So that's kind of a dilemma you can play. You can play between his arms and his neck, and you'll eventually get one. Eventually, I believe he gets both hooks in, but I think that's enough. I think you get the idea. So that's how you can use the Bolo to counter leg entanglements. In this case, you saw the first one was the saddle, the second one was the 50-50. But let's look at another one. He does the same thing in his 80cc trials run. I'll show you that really quick. So I don't know who this is, but he has a match against Kade. And let's listen to what he does, or see what he does. Goes into some kind of leg entanglement here. It looks like 50-50. He did like a matrix entry. I can't really see it here, but you see he does the same thing. Kade gets over the knee, rolls into the Bolo, does the same thing, pushes that leg down, and now he has the hips on top of his hips. So Cade's in control here. He has the back exposed. He goes, rolls. You see here, he has the other leg in, which is the twister hook, which usually is good, and he has him completely stacked, which exposes this other person, I guess, J.Dawson. Sorry, I'm not familiar with you. And he has his back completely exposed. Now, this is what he wants. The problem is, if the person is strong and they kick back with their leg, like here, he flips Kade over, which is what you don't want. It completely unravels you, or in the worst case scenario, it exposes your back. So when you have that twister hook, be careful with stacking them so much, because they can reverse that on you. This person, Mr. Dawson, reverses it on Kade. Kade realizes it exposes his back, so he just rolls out and lets go of the Bolo and comes in, locks up a flying Darce, and beats him. I don't know how many of you can, reverse someone with a flying Darce off that, but if you can, that's a cool move to do. Lots of times you can't, but hopefully you saw how you can get into that Bolo from the top and how he countered one of Mr. Dawson's leg entanglements. Let's look at another one, not of the Ruotolos, and let's look at one in the gi. This time we're going to look at Mikey Musumeci. Here we have a Mikey gi match. Mikey is in the short hair in the blue gi here. And so he's locked up in 50-50. It's actually lapel 50-50, which is super annoying. So you can see, I'm sorry this video is so blurry. I can't find a better copy. You see the person has it hooked, and Mikey's lapel is being wrapped up around his and the other person's leg. Super annoying. But Mikey basically backsteps, and he's just trying to work his knee line out eventually. He's using his left arm to push the knee away. And that just gives him more space to wiggle his knee around. It's kind of hard to see here if his knee line is in or out, but by pushing that leg away, you give yourself more space. So even with that lapel in there, if you kind of take your time, wiggle your foot, turn your knee, you can eventually get it out of the 50-50. All you need to do is just get the knee line out. Looks like it's out now. Still turning, uses his other hand, you see like, yeah, there you see it's out. And he turns and he gets his other foot in there in the Berimbolo position. Let's see here. I'll go back a bit. Watch that one more time. As he turns and he feels it getting out, you can see Mikey put his right leg on the body in that hip pocket here. He's turning, right leg on the hip pocket. Perfect. Turns. Perfect bolo. Guy's probably still grabbing the lapel, but it doesn't matter. That's one of the great things about this counter too. The more people grab your legs or even like lapel or something, by doing that, it doesn't actually hurt you or slow you down. It just makes it easier because they get stuck in the wrong place. You see that guy's holding on the leg. When you do that for too long, it just gets you stuck in the wrong place. Mikey has his hips on the other guy's hips, resting on his body. The other guy's trying to frame him here, but all Mikey has to do is just take his hands, move that hand off, just go around his back, his neck, and he has the back take. It's all done. Nice counter. I'm going to do one more. This is a little bit more spectacular. These are all getting out of like leg entanglements on the ground, and they're a little bit slow. Well, Ruotolos are kind of fast. But let's look at one more from the Ruotolo's former training partner, Daniel Sathler. Or is it Sathler? I don't know. Okay, so here we have the match against with Daniel Sathler from PGF. Let's just watch it one time. They come, they're just kind of standing. Samson, Phommabout, pulls guard, goes in, looking for a single leg X, gets his back taken, and gets choked. That's the end of it. Really slick, but you're thinking like, okay, what was that? It looked like he just kind of rolled and just appeared on his back. But let's go slowly here. We're going to put this on half speed and analyze it quickly. So you see here, Samson Phommabout is looking to get his leg inside for a single leg X. He has his knee inside already, and he has his left leg, Samson does, in a daily Hiva hook. He pummels it in, and he tries to stick his left leg in between Daniel's legs. He gets it there, and now he's trying to pull the leg up into single leg X. Watch what Sathler's focusing on. He has his hands here, and he's really focusing on Samson Phommabout's right leg here. He goes, stop. He goes and he starts to fall over. He's trying to put his knee or shin in Samson's hip pocket over here. And with his hands, he needs to shove Samson Phommabout's knee between his legs. Then he'll have the bolo. If that knee is in front of him, it's just going to get in the way. He's not going to be able to get it. But once that knee goes between his legs, he's got him. There you go. See, the knee comes out. Sathler just does a forward roll, like learning a break fall. So people wonder, why do I need to learn break falls? This is why. You can't do cool stuff like this if you don't know how to break fall. He does this. You see his left leg, I should say, Daniel Sathler's left leg, goes behind Samson Phommabout's right leg here. They keep going. He chops down on it while his other leg comes up and hopefully will point to the sky. And you see Samson Phommabout's back is completely exposed. Boom. He tries to do this. Samson Phommabout tries to invert to get away, which is actually a good idea. but by inverting, you expose your lower back, and Daniel runs over, actually jumps over, and he gets under his back. When he does that, when Samson tries to uninvert, he exposes his upper back. Daniel goes, gets the upper back connection, puts the hooks in as he's rolling, and chokes him out.
Nice.
So that shows how you can use the Bolo from that top position to really beat someone when they're using a single leg X. So I've showed how you can use it from single leg X, how you can use it for 50-50, and how you can use it from the saddle. So from lots of different positions, you can use this to, kind of beat people, reverse them, get on their back, and just basically make it annoying for them. So if you're somebody who's like, you know what, I hate when people go on my legs and they're trying to attack my legs and entangle me the whole time, this is what you want to learn. If you do this to somebody enough times, they'll eventually stop. They'll get scared. I think it caused trauma to basically Lachlan Giles and Craig Jones. After Craig Jones got hit with that pretzel bolo from Kainan Duarte, he didn't use outside ashi for years, and he was telling people to not do it. I think he's probably changed his mind now, and same with Lachlan Giles, but I think this move traumatized him. So if you want to traumatize your training partners or your competition, use this. It looks cool. You're going to get a highlight reel finish, hopefully, and it'll stop people from attacking your legs all the time. So hopefully you like this. If you did, make sure you subscribe. Check out some of my other videos too, and be sure to give me a like. Till next time, see you.